Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Built for Bahrain Acceleration Program introduction webinar. Today, we'll be going through details on the virtual challenge, the 6-week training program, the timeline, eligibility criteria, and answer any of your questions. Before giving you a brief about the program, I'd like to introduce myself quickly. I'm Amina Naab, Community Associate at Bahrain FinTech Bay. I have over 6+ years of experience working in the entrepreneurship industry within acceleration, venture capital, angel investments, and fintech. And I'm joined with my colleague, Amira.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Amira Mohammed, and I'm currently the Senior Business Development Analyst at Bahrain FinTech Bay. I graduated from Bahrain Polytechnic, and I've done my industry project with Bahrain FinTech Bay back in 2018, actually. So I was very fortunate to be taken as part of the permanent team at Bahrain FinTech Bay. So what I do is that I work with a portfolio of established international companies that are much more in the later stage, but also get the opportunity to work with the rest of the team in supporting companies at the ideation and early stages through our acceleration program.
So here's just a quick brief on our organizing team. Me and Amira will be with you throughout the virtual challenge for the 3 days, as well as the 6-week incubation program. And Badr and Susie will be the facilitators of the program itself. Badr is the head of business developments and acceleration at Bahrain FinTech Bay, and Susie has years of experience as well in the entrepreneurship industry, and she's the head of comms and events at Bahrain FinTech Bay. So once you join the Built for Bahrain Acceleration Program, make sure to use these hashtags for social media presence. Just so you can build, your presence within Bahrain. So before I go through the eligibility criteria, I just want to quickly give a brief on the Build for Bahrain Acceleration Program. In partnership with the US State Department's Middle East Partnership Initiative, MEPI, we are thrilled to launch the Build for Bahrain Acceleration Program. Build for Bahrain invites innovators and entrepreneurs to develop locally designed solutions to solve today's challenges by utilizing technology and innovative approaches. So just to be clear that the virtual challenge, you'll have to build a tech-enabled startup. The program really aims to drive rapid innovation to develop solutions within business continuity and the community and health, and to ensure to support economic recovery on a national scale and future-proof Bahrain's digital economy. So within the eligibility criteria, this program invites entrepreneurs within the Kingdom of Bahrain to share their business ideas to establish an online presence, to enter the Built for Bahrain Acceleration Program virtual challenge. You can either apply as an individual with the aim of getting matched to enter the virtual challenge to build your startup within 54 hours, or apply as an established startup and pitch during the virtual challenge finale. So who can apply? Bahraini nationals or Bahraini residents over the age of 18 and above. Ideas have to be tech-enabled. You don't have to have an idea in order to apply to the program, as long as you have the drive to help build a startup. Preferably, we do prefer individuals with backgrounds of software development, design, and business. However, if you still have the drive to want to build a business, you can still apply. And then, like I mentioned, you can either apply as an individual or an established startup. So Amira will quickly go through what you will be doing during the weekend.
So the virtual challenge weekend is the time for you, to really challenge yourself. So the more you the more work you put into the weekend, the better it is for your experience. So for most part of the weekend, you'll be challenged to, and you're going to take the time to actually build your idea, validate your idea, taking in the feedback received throughout the whole period. And also you're going to be able to build your network, because you're not only going to be working with people within the program itself. So let's say, co-applicants in the program, but you'll also work with a lineup of amazing mentors who are there to support you throughout every step of the way. Because this is a program that is fully virtual, it's going to be a bit different compared to having the program, being physically present in the program. So this is pretty much going to let you learn new skills because you have to adapt with the nature of the program. And most importantly, we're here to make it a fun experience for you to launch your business. So since the program is fully virtual, the team will be using technology platforms, existing platforms, so that we can keep in touch with you and also for us to streamline communication. So myself and Amina and the rest of the team actually will be very easy to contact, and we're there to support you throughout the whole journey and provide a smooth experience for you throughout the whole course of the program. So right now, Amina is going to go through the first phase of the program, which is, the virtual challenge.
So before I go through thank you, Amira, for the introduction. Before going through phase one of the program, um, once you are accepted to join the virtual challenge, we just have a few housekeeping rules. As long as you are respectful to your team members and you're respectful of the facilitators and mentors' times, and make sure that you are constantly communicating with each other. Just be mindful of these, few details. If you would like to get on a call with the facilitator for a mentoring one-on-one session, just be respectful of their time and make sure that you ask them to get on a call before actually giving them a call. So, like Amira explained, the program is divided into two phases. Phase one is the virtual challenge, and the second phase will be the 6-week training program. I'll just quickly go through the agenda, and obviously this will be sent to you, in your emails when you're accepted, or you can find it through the website. Day one is really, an introduction and opening ceremony of the virtual challenge. We'll just do a quick recap, like what we're doing right now on the resources and what you need to do during the weekend. We'll have a quick fireside chat with the startup that has had to pivot during 2020 and see how they've managed to come up with innovation solutions within their startup itself. And our first mentoring session will be helping you on how to structure your idea through business model canvas. And then you get straight to work. I really urge everyone to actually take the time on the first day to work on the idea. We've had a lot of startups decide to, start working on day two, late in the day, and then find out that they've had an incomplete MVP, or they've not really worked on their idea. And it's really important to, like, for the 54 hours that you're given to build the startup, you really need to utilize every hour. It is quite intense, but that's the beauty of a virtual challenge, is that you are challenged in order to build something that would hopefully sustain itself throughout the long term. And obviously, we'll be having a lot of different facilitator check-ins throughout the 3 days, just so you can, schedule a quick 15-minute check with the facilitator to see what you can work on. Day two will be on Friday. You get to work straight ahead, get to work, you and your team members start building your product, your mission and vision, your research, your surveys, customer validation, speak to potential clients. We've had a lot of startups have, calls with large organizations and had, an intensive work signed, which really, it really proves that their solution is something that corporates are interested in utilizing once it's ready. So it's really important to, drive yourself to think outside of the box and approach these companies. So we're really encouraging you to take the steps that a normal startup would usually take within 3 to 6 to 1 year, and squeeze it in 3 days. We'll have 3 mentor sessions designed for non-designers: how to pitch one-on-one, and how to build your financial models, which are 3 key points that we think is really important for a startup to work on, especially at an early stage. And obviously check-ins, we've had one written here, but obviously throughout the day, it's very flexible and we can accommodate based on what people want to ask. Day 3 is very important. It's when you need to really refine your presentation deck, put together your findings and emphasize on your minimum viable product. So we're not really looking for a final product. We're looking, or even a working demo, as long as you can visually show us how your solution would work. Obviously, it is better if you can show us a working demo. However, it's not really strict to build a final product during the 54 hours. Make sure again to really utilize the check-ins, iterate and build and learn from the findings based on your mentor sessions and adjust based on that. And finally, do a pitch practice with facilitator and within your team, just so you can know which areas to focus on. And finally, submitting your final presentation before Sunday's finale presentation. Make sure that the final submission is the final version that you want to submit, because we will not be accepting any other version other than the one that you've submitted. And yeah, so this is just a recap on the timings of the virtual challenge. If there's any changes, we'll let you know. Like Amira said, me and Amira will always be available on WhatsApp in case there's anything, and we'll be updating you by email, by WhatsApp, etc. The judging criteria. So this is really important for you to know beforehand, just to understand what you're being judged on. The judging criteria contains 4 main key areas that you need to focus on. Firstly, it's validation. Has your team gone out and spoken to customers? Did you build a product that actually solved a problem? And have you identified the target market that your product is focusing on? The second thing is execution and design. Do you have somewhat of a prototype or a working demo or a minimum viable product? How functional is your technical demo? Like I said, it's not that important as long as we can visually see how your demo would work or your solution would work. And designing matters. Is your product easy to use once it fully forms? Business model. How do you plan on making this a successful business? We've had a lot of people focus on, how pretty their product looks like, how the solution will solve a specific problem, but don't really focus on how this will make them a sustainable business and how they can, get profits at the end of the day. Are you solving a problem, and what's your value proposition? And is your idea unique? We've had a lot of startups maybe thinking their idea is unique, but it's really a replica of other successful startups. It's really important that you position yourself as an idea that is, I don't want to say something unique, because that's a bit, it's a lot of recycled ideas. It's how you position yourself to really differentiate yourself from another startup or a competitor. And finally, the team. It's really important to have a team that has knowledge on the idea and does not only do the job that they're supposed to do. In a sense, a startup is when team members have to do anything and everything in order to make the idea successful. Is your team able to execute the idea in the startup, and you guys work together to produce the overall final product? At the end of the day, from my personal opinion, I really think the success of a startup is the team that really works behind it, and it's an overall effort. Your presentation for the on Saturday should include the problem that you're trying to solve and the solution, including how it is technology enabled, the product, your market size, business model, your competition, your differentiators, and the team. And Mira will go ahead and explain the training program and the timeline and what will be done during phase 2 of the acceleration program.
Yeah. So in phase 2 of the program, you'll be given the opportunity to work further on structuring your business idea and get a little bit more focused training and mentorship. So this is what we usually like to call the digital incubation period. So if you can see the timeline, you would see that after January 11, You will go through the 6 weeks training period where you will really get into the, the nitty gritty of your business. So we'll have experienced mentors and industry players hold weekly sessions on important key elements that, you should be looking at in order to build your business. So all of this training you'll be receiving is leading up to the final demo day. We'll be there ourselves, our team, and also, the mentors are all here to support you all through the way. So looking at this, this is just like a little quick look of what are some of the topics that will be covered during the whole period, the incubation period. So we've designed it in a way where at the end of the program, you'll get a very well-rounded knowledge of all of the key aspects in your business, whether it be business, finance, and the tech aspects of your business. So don't worry if you don't have knowledge in certain areas, because we've made sure that all of the sessions will be delivered in a way that is comprehensible and also would make more sense for you, regardless of what background you come from. So I think that's pretty much it from like a little overview of our program, and I think we're open for any questions.
We're open for questions. Let me just go through the questions we've received. What if one of the co-founders is from outside of Bahrain? Like we've explained, as long as they are either Bahraini nationals or residents, it's okay for them to join the acceleration program. Unfortunately, this program is only focused on Bahrain itself. However, yeah, unfortunately, we only can accept Bahraini nationals or residents.
Yeah, so let's see if you are working on let's say if you're not physically present in Bahrain, but you're working on a startup, but you're either a Bahraini resident or Bahrain national, we can still consider you into the program. Can you give some more information on how a person can opt to join a startup team? I think you can either, if you have a team if you already have a team established, whether it is an established startup or you individually just have a team that you're currently working with but don't have an established startup yet, you can apply on the page as a team or as a startup. But if you are an individual, you can apply as an individual, and later on we'll be connecting you to with, because there are two categories for people with an idea and people without an idea. So people who don't have an idea will be connected to the individuals who have an idea but don't have their own team on board. So we'll give you the freedom of choosing your interest, just so that it makes sense for you to join what team or what business idea that you're genuinely interested in. And from there on, that's how the startups and teams are slowly formed.
So one of the attendees are asking, what will the winning startups receive? If you go through the website, you can find all of the prizes, but basically you will be receiving financial support to continue with your concept, and you will have access to incubation at Bahrain FinTech Bay, and a secured seat in one of the FinTech Consortium Institute programs, a center of excellence in FinTech education led by notable US-based institutions. So just to reiterate, you will be receiving funding to further develop your idea, incubation at Bahrain FinTech Bay, and a secured seat in one of the FCI's programs, as well as AWS Activate access through Bahrain FinTech Bay. Miles, so basically just to go back to the timeline, 10 startups will be chosen after the pitching of the virtual challenge. Those 10 startups will go through the 6-week training program, to which the top 3 teams will be receiving the prizes that we've mentioned. I have an MVP, but no team. What would you recommend, individual or startup? It really depends on what you're looking for. If you're really looking to be connected to potential co-founders or team members. We really encourage you to take to make that decision to either apply as an established startup, so apply on your own, or to apply as an individual with the interest of building a team. Another question. I have a startup in fintech. I'm looking for funding. Can you help? So like we said, the program, with the program, funding will be only for the top 3 winning teams that will gain training after the 6-week training program. And then on the demo day, the top 3 teams will be announced.
So
another question, Amira, would you like to?
Yeah, so I think if there is more than one idea, it's okay to actually submit with more than ideas, more than one idea. So what we'll be doing is our review committee will pretty much go through the applications. And if, let's say, you submitted 3 ideas, which is usually not recommended, but let's say if you do really have 3 ideas that you really want to work on, but you want to know which criteria fits with the business, that is once our review committee answers and reviews your application, we'll get back to you stating which idea makes most sense to continue with for the program.
So we have another question from Ruwaida. Thank you for sharing the info. If there is more than one idea, what to do? Preferably you would pitch one idea. If you have multiple ideas, I'd highly suggest choosing the best one that you'd like to work on during the weekend, and then focusing on that.
I think we also have one with regards to on the chat. So Azam, the criteria of the competition is you should be over 18 in order to qualify for the program.
So someone is also asking, how much is the funding for the top 3 teams? The top 3 teams will each get around 1,000 BD each. And then incubation at Bahrain Fintech Bay. So we have a co-working space at Bahrain Bay in our capital building, where you will be able to utilize our space to help with your product. And as well as a secured seat in one of the certificates program within FCI. And yeah, I hope that answered your question. Can a non-fintech startup...
Sorry, Amina. So I just want to provide context for the for Azam's question. So as long as, most preferably over 18, but as long as, let's say, if you're in your team, you do have people that are over 18, I think that's something that we can actually consider. We can consider your application for the program as long as it's going to go through our review committee. And if anything, we're going to be contacting you for further information, etc., etc.
We have another question that says, do the established startup have to be registered in Bahrain? Like we've mentioned, as long as it's a built team, an established startup with a with some sort of traction, you're fine to apply to. But like we mentioned, as long as you are a Bahraini national or resident, it's okay to apply. Can a non-fintech startup apply? Yes, as long as it's tech-enabled. So like we mentioned previously in the presentation, it has to be around, one second, it has to be around business continuity or community or health. When I say business continuity, it means implementation of innovative solutions, digital solutions to identify and support areas in the business community that are mostly impacted during this year. In terms of community, addressing the negative effects of social isolation and the digitizing of public services and local entertainment industry. With health, you can do including preventative measures and supporting frontline health workers. So as long as it covers these 3 themes and it's tech enabled, you don't need to be a fintech startup.
I hope that I have a question. Is there a minimum requirement in terms of the idea development in order to be eligible to apply? There's not really a minimum requirement because we do accept individuals that both have just, something that just, it's an idea that came from their mind but really haven't acted upon. This will be the opportunity for you to get a little bit more guidance on how to structure your idea, how to make it tech enabled and stuff like that. So there's not really a minimum requirement, as long as you have an idea that you're passionate about, and really are serious in proceeding with. That's pretty much how you're going to build it up. You're going to build it during the course of the program.
Okay, we have a question. Now, when will be notified about the shortlisted teams for the virtual challenge? We'll be sending the emails about the accepted startups, I think, around the third week of December, so around the 21st to the 25th of December. Just make sure that you have your email open and keep an eye out for that email.
Then we have a question. I'm an individual with no idea, but would love to experience the acceleration program. Can I still apply? Yes, you can still apply. So if you don't have an idea, just once you apply, first select apply as an individual, and we'll have an option on whether we'll have a question that says, do you have an idea? And then there's an option that says yes or no. Just select no and then submit your application. Later on, when we go through applications, we'll be teaming you up with individuals who have an idea but don't have a team. So that's how you will be connected to, work on a set idea throughout the program.
So we have another great question. How many ideas will be accepted to participate in the virtual challenge? We're looking into around 20 ideas that will be shortlisted to the top 10 to go through the 6-week training program.
Okay, so we also have this is actually a very good question that we get asked a lot. So I have a full-time job. What times are the 6 weeks training? This is very dependent. We take into consideration that there are individuals who are working full time. So we do take that into consideration. So for the most part, we're going to select a time that is past working hours for the majority of those who proceed with the program. But also it's take note that it's very dependent as well with our mentors that will be onboarding. So also they also sometimes come from different countries, so out of Bahrain, who would like to share their experience. So it's very dependent, but for the most part, we try to make it after working hours, just so that everyone gets the opportunity to watch the sessions.
So we have another question. Should a team have budget for their ideas? I'm not sure your question is clear. Could you just rephrase your question on what exactly you're asking? Another one, do we have the choice to select my own team? So basically what we'll do once we, if you're selected as one of the accepted ideas for the virtual challenge, we'll be sending you a list of individuals that have chosen your idea within the voting criteria. So let's say, for example, I'm interested in XYZ ideas, and my top first is idea X. We'd send you the individuals that have shown interest in these ideas. We'd send you their CVs, their LinkedIn's, etc. And then you would choose who you'd like to onboard into your team, and then we'd connect you. So I hope that answers your question. Does the idea presentation restricted to a standard table of contents, or do we have free hand on the same? So as long as you've covered, usually we tell startups to cover those, few key points. But if you want to mention more than that, it's you're free to do so.
We also have a question from the chat, Ahmed Murad. You're a Saudi national with a fintech idea that could serve all MENA region. It is in a business model testing phase, can apply to the accelerator residing in Dammam, KSA. For the most part, the program is catered more to to individuals who are Bahraini nationals or reside in Bahrain. But let's say if you have a team that do have if like let's say if you do have a co-founder and that founder is a Bahraini national or resides in Bahrain, that is something that we can consider when looking through your application. I think there's another question we got on the Q&A, how sustainable the idea should be. The sustainable the idea should be. So for the most part, because this is a program where we're really trying to look at very innovative ideas where it's not just a short-term fix for a short-term problem. It's something we're looking at ideas that can provide, a long-term solution for, the rest of, eternity, I guess. So we it's much preferable to have an idea that not only focuses on solving a problem in the current situation, but something that, let's say for example, solves a problem for the current situation and it's that good that it's going to ease the customer experience in the long term. So that's how we usually measure how sustainable your idea is.
We have an anonymous question. Is there a limit to how many people can be part of the team? With established startup, there's no limit. However, with the startups that we're matching to teams for the virtual challenge, we usually prefer it to be a minimum 3 individuals and maximum 5 individuals per team.
Yeah, I think it's just to give everyone that fair chance of everyone just getting the opportunity to really experience, these sessions and everything.
Right. Let me just. Based on what will the shortlisting as their guidelines? So, like I mentioned, our head of acceleration programs, Bedr Sater, as well as Suzy Alzira, who have years of experience within the entrepreneurship industry, will be shortlisting the ideas that will go on to the finale pitch. They will be selecting the ideas that will go through the virtual challenge, as well as shortlisting the ideas that will be pitching towards the finale as well.
And then there's a question, do we get to interview and interact with people, or do we just select them based on the list you share? So when we give you the profiles of the people that don't have an idea but have expressed their interest in joining your team, you will get their profiles. So let's say you will get their LinkedIn, their CV. You will get those type of information just to give you a little bit of context.
Does it mean we have to work with a person even though they may not be a fit? So no, you get to select the individuals that are interested in your idea based on their. So we'll be sharing the LinkedIn profiles and their um, CVs, their resumes. If you are interested in the individual joining your team, you can select them. If you're not interested, you're not obliged to onboard them to your team. So, like I mentioned, they choose their top 3 ideas. So that's how they will join your team, whether or not you want to onboard them or not. Or yes.
Question from Hanar: what's the amount of AWS activate credits that the winner could receive? It's very case by case, so it's not clear on how much. There's no certain credit, but it's based on the terms. So we'll have to see throughout the we'll have to see towards the end, and get back to you, with whether this is something that we can help you with.
Okay, we have another question. Are hardware-based ideas accepted? That's a great question. I actually don't know. If you can send us an email with your question, and we can get back to you once we check with our management.
So what if no one chooses your idea? Do people still get assigned to a team? We haven't had that uh, case yet where there are absolutely no one choosing a specific idea. But let's see if there is really no one. what we can suggest you to do is we're gonna, tell you that, there's no particularly there's no person that select your idea. We'll give you that freedom to choose people from your own network who you would like to work with in order to, proceed in the program.
Okay, I think that's all of the questions. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop it in the Q&A tab. Stuart is asking, will you be looking at how gender equality is supported across the startups? We do encourage, gender equality within all of the teams. However, we do not, it is not enforced. It's optional if you would like it. Ideally, it would. However, we're not enforcing it on the startups. Are there any registration fees? No, this is free admissions, registration fees for the virtual challenge, and there's no fees to
I think
apply
we
to.
have another question, Azam. We have an MVP and a team, but not working under a CR. Do we register as a startup or individual? For your case, you will be registering as a startup.
Right, is there any further questions? Okay. Will the entire event take place virtually throughout? Yes, due to the current situation. Um, Bahrain has done extremely well in terms of the amount of cases that have been happening in Bahrain. However, we do prefer it to be virtual just for the safety of everyone.
And just to assure you guys, like even though it was virtual, it does not ruin your experience throughout the in any point of the program, because we're all here, to support you and help you all throughout. You can easily contact us if you're facing a problem or an issue. We're there to help you all throughout the way. And then mentors as well. Once you get connected with mentors, sometimes you're able to have one-on-ones with the mentors as well, just so that you get focus training. So in no point would it really affect your performance and your business idea when done virtually.
Yusuf is asking, if my idea doesn't get shortlisted, can I still join another team? Yes, well, just as long as you send us an email stating that you'd still like to be part of the virtual challenge, we'll send you the ideas and the sheets for you to vote on what's your top, favorite ideas that you'd like to join, and we'll move forward based on that.
Think what is the last day for registering as an individual with no ID? Can you share the website details? So yes, actually that's a good idea. I'll just give me a second. I'll send in the chat the page of the program. So there you're going to be able to find a little bit more information about what the program entails, the timeline, and you'll be able to register from that website, from that web link.
Okay. So one of our team members has pasted the link on the chat.
Yeah, there you go.
So it's bahrainfintechbay.com/build-for-bahrain. All of the details of today's webinar will be mentioned on the page itself, eligibility criteria, judging criteria, etc. It's all mentioned on the website itself.
Yeah. So we have another question. I'm an individual and have an idea. I wish to build my team before registration. Would you recommend to register as an individual or a startup? Um, if if you have people in place already that are there, like if you have people in mind and it's sure that they're going to be joining you as a team, then you can go ahead and just apply as a startup. But if up to now you don't really have a team in place, like even you don't have a name, but you're going to do that, let's say after being accepted, I would say apply as an individual. And if either me or Amina gets in contact with you when it comes to that time where we're gonna tell you that do you have a team in place or not, inform us that you do have a team in place and give us their contact details, just so that we can remove your idea from the um, open to accept members type of list. So it's much better if you make that clear before registering.
Guys, we have until like 5 p.m. for questions. So if you have any questions before we conclude the webinar, please make sure that you ask us. Right. So thank you all. I hope this webinar has been informative. If you guys have any questions, drop us an email on info@bahrainfintechbay.com. Either I or Amira will be responding back to your emails. Hopefully this webinar has answered all of your questions and piqued your interest in joining the Build for Bahrain Acceleration Program. It's a very hands-on program, regardless of virtual or face-to-face program. You really get to know the other, you get the support of the community, you get the support of, the industry. We have, our network of partners, with several entities in Bahrain will be available to help as well. So hopefully this webinar has been insightful for you guys. And like I mentioned, if you want more information, please visit bahrainfintechbay.com/build-for-bahrain. Then yeah, thank you for today.
On the chat, so make sure to copy that before this webinar ends. So make sure to have that link saved somewhere before leaving.
All right, thank you everyone for your time. We'll see you. Thank you.
Looking forward to have you guys in our program.
Thank you, everyone.